Howdy, I'm Kyle Soto. This is my interactive media presentation. So my presentation today was about global climate change. I did this with interactive media by NASA, and it really just showed the effects of climate change and how it just kind of affected the world and us. So this time machine kind of worked by taking us back in time and showing the world in different stages over the years and how climate change affected certain aspects. And this really put into perspective of how climate change physically can affect our planet. So the time machine. So the goal of this time machine was to show the effects of climate change to us as people. I did this in four different aspects by showing sea ice melt, where areas of coast would be underwater because of the ice melt, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and how carbon dioxide would raise the temperature of the earth. So it really put into perspective of how the world will be changed over time and how that might affect us. And where I found that the most would be like where areas of the coast would be underwater, like most of Florida and New Orleans were all underwater, and parts of Europe would be underwater if the ice caps were to melt and the um, sea would raise about 6 meters because of that. How it all kind of worked, the media, it used a series of interactive maps with time sliders. And this really helped tell a story. When you move the slider, it would show the world in different times. And I think some of them went back to like the 1800s with temperature. The information at the bottom would kind of explain the map and what it was showing. And it really worked together in that way to help tell this story. To how it kind of told the story was to cause and effect. So with ice caps melting, sea levels rise. With carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, temperatures went up. So these two areas would work together to help tell the story. And it wasn't very apparent. It did take a little bit of inferring from the audience to kind of see this change, but there were different aspects of that happening. The text again will kind of show this and drive the point home and statistical data of how that all worked and why it was happening. And it really let us or me as the audience know that, hey, that my actions today can make a difference. And even if even like my negative actions will make a difference, because over time things could happen very fast with climate change. You saw with carbon dioxide atmosphere, it was kind of around like the industrial revolution when things really started to get bad, and that's when the temperatures really started to go up, and you could really see the ice caps really started to melt, and then the the sea level rising would be a indication of, hey, the earth is getting hotter, there's more water, and that would be a cause in the future that would happen. So it's more like a past aspect and a future aspect to this time machine. um, I did notice some things I could use a little help. There was really lack of video and audio, or video and audio, video and photo I should say. And without these, I feel like I was missing a lot. I was missing the aspect of how is this really affecting people. Again, I had to infer a lot of that. So like I say on the slide, um, if a photo or video is worth 1,000 words, and I feel like that would have helped. And then in the explanation, there was a little bit of text at the bottom, but it didn't really give you a whole lot. I wish there were even more stats explaining of like why things were happening, what will happen in the future. But it was more of just like, hey, the stats are on the interactives on the maps. But with those two things, I think it would have been a much better interactive media. But here's some screenshots. So here's the sea ice melt. You can see back in 1979, there's a lot of ice. In 2021, we're missing maybe a third of it. And there you just see a trend as you move the slider that is getting worse and worse. And then here at the sea ice melt, you see how without the sea ice, that over time, that the sea levels will rise, and we lose Miami, we lose New Orleans, and that's just the United States. And you see that's you can see Northern Europe, Amazon, and Southern Asia. There are just massive populations that will be underwater if there's no change. And the carbon dioxide, it shows in parts per million of the atmosphere, showing back in 2002 all the way up to 2022. And this is just 20 years. And you can see that it went from pretty low to really, really high. And the effect of that would be the temperature difference of where the normal temperature is and what it really is. So you see up in the polar ice cap, the northern one specifically, that there's a lot more ice than there used to be. So it really told this story of why things were happening. My one critique with this is it doesn't seem to tell it in the right order. I would say that, well, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere would be higher temperatures leading to polar ice melting, leading to higher sea levels, but it kind of told it in backwards order. So it was another critique I had. I wouldn't say it was a bug, but it would be like a, if you wanted it to be like a time machine and a timeline, cause and effect, I think that would have been a better presentation of it. And also you see that there's not a lot of text there, and more text with more statistical data might drive that point home. So why did I choose climate change? Well, I chose climate change because it's not something I really understood. It's something that I wanted to learn more about, and just because I feel like it's a highly debated topic that people don't know about. So I wanted to educate myself as well as other people. So it's really why I chose it, and I'm glad I did because I feel like I'm better suited to understand this topic. Um, and some things I learned is statistical data goes a long ways. It can further gain perspective. Photo and video goes a long way as well. And just adding those with our interactives may help. But I also learned that, hey, we don't need a super long or complex interactive to drive this point home. I feel like if it was like a long game or an interactive video, I might lose interest. But with this, I was intrigued the whole time. And it really just helped me gain understanding without losing my interest or taking too much time. So I feel like with us and our project with the flight school, that we might be able to use like a short interactive in some way to maybe show trends of the pilot shortage and what we could do to best serve that, and the demand of pilots growing higher than new pilots are coming in the workforce. So yeah, I just learned a lot in that aspect, that we don't need a whole lot, but we do need some photos and videos and statistical data to help drive these points home. So with that, that's my presentation. Thank you, and I'll see you all soon.